Being a Jehovah's Witness saved my life? Oh, hey, come on in for a cup of tea with your favorite uncle. Hey everyone, it's Robert, your favorite or soon to be favorite Black Gay uncle, and thanks for tuning in to Tea with Robert, your favorite Black Gay uncle. We have made it to episode 4. Thank you so much. So, we are going to dive right into the topic. This is something that I'm sure many Black and or queer people are all too familiar with, which is religion. So, I'm going to talk about how the process of becoming and then unbecoming a Jehovah's Witness has really taught me a very valuable life lesson, which is love should leave people better than they found them. So let's rewind a bit. I did mention in my episode 1 that I lived with my maternal grandparents, my nanny and grandpa, and my nanny was a Jehovah's Witness. So when I first went to live with them around the age of 10, 11, I started going to the Kingdom Hall regularly with my nanny. As strange as it sounds, there were some benefits to this. So, one, it did give me a sense of stability. Life was predictable, it was structured. I knew every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday where to go. And given the amount of unstructured things around me, it really did provide a sense of solace. So at that time, my father, who was more or less absent, but he was navigating his own substance use issues. My mother was a person living with schizophrenia. So she had been in and out of different mental care facilities, trying to navigate her own health. And I also had an older sister who also trying to make sense of her childhood with all of this going on. So, it was a huge relief to have that regular scheduled programming. Two, it helped boost my confidence and social intelligence. So I've always been an outgoing, outspoken kid. And so being in a religion that doesn't really promote secular education. So I mean, I don't want to say a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are dumb, but they don't really encourage you to take school seriously. And then in a proselytizing religion, so where they go door to door and men are expected to speak from the platform, I had no issues with that. So, baby, I was a star at the Kingdom Hall. And so, of course, going every week and getting that positive reinforcements felt really good. One of the things that makes me laugh is that as an adult, I've had peers who I grew up with say to me, Bobby Osprey, I really hated you as a teenager because their parents would say to them, why can't you be more like Bobby? He's so spiritual. But I mean, my life was far from being enviable by anyone. So, I had not one, but two therapists as a teenager. I had a psychotherapist who I got to talk to about being gay with. I had a psychiatric nurse who was monitoring my lithium levels I had a pre-manic depressive disorder. I was overachieving in high school. I was going to gay cruising spots. Like I was a mess as a teenager. So it's just funny to me that, just that outside looking in always tells a different story for sure. The third good thing that I will say about being a Jehovah's Witness is that it did give me access to culture beyond my own. So whether it was in person, going to the Kingdom Hall, having traveling guests, people who had traveled to different countries as missionaries, in literature, one of the things I remember reading from it was the Yearbook of Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know if they still do it or not, but they would have this global report at the end of the year, and then they would share the story of the history of Jehovah's Witnesses in like a particular country. I think they did like two or three. And so, reading it, you also got to read about the history and culture of that country. And so, one of the best parts about myself that I enjoy is being able to meet and interact with people from different cultures very easily. I love people, and I will say that being a Jehovah's Witness played a big part in helping develop that skill. All of that to say is that being Jehovah's Witness really helped open the world to me in many ways. But it certainly was not all sunshines and roses, for sure. One of the things that I remember distinctly is around 12 when I prayed to Jehovah and I said, I'll dedicate my life to you. And can you please take away these gay feelings? So when I got baptized at 13, that's what I was expecting to happen. And of course, it did not, because look at me now. But also, as I moved through that religion, it was really bizarre how patriarchal and heteronormative it is as a religion. So even though I was young, men who are baptized are still given priority over anyone else. So even if I was with my grandmother or other older women, they had to respect me. So like when they would pray, they would cover their head, or they had to like prop me up as a leader whenever we were like about to go door to door. It was very, very bizarre. It was bizarre then and it's bizarre now to talk about. And so, yeah. The other aspect, as I mentioned, is in regards to education, because they don't really want you doing more at school than what's necessary to get by. And that really impacted me and the confidence I had towards my intelligence. So, a little story time is that when I had left high school, I made a decision to cut off my high school friends because they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. I was moving forward with being a full time minister at the congregation and felt that that was best. Looking back, it wasn't the best decision. I realized that I had cut people off from my life who genuinely cared for me. And it is a regret that I carry. And if anyone I went to high school with is out there, I'm really, really, really sorry. As I previously mentioned, it also gave me a lot of performance anxiety in relationship to school. So when I first went to community college in Pittsburgh, I joke with people, but I flunked out my first semester. I had math and English 100, not even 101 courses. And I got Fs because I really had a lot of doubts. And I really felt like a failure at that time, having flunked those classes, which was a big hit to my self esteem. Here's when things start to shift for me is around the age of 21. So that's when I got disfellowshipped or excommunicated. So basically that means that you're cut off and no one from who's a Jehovah's Witness can really talk to you or is supposed to associate with you. You can still go to the Kingdom Hall, but you can't participate or comment or anything. It's a really weird situation. It was hard because I was most worried about my grandmother. This is the family member who I spent the most time with, that I had the closest relationship with. And so the idea of disappointing her or leaving her behind was really stressful for me. It really weighed on my heart heavy. But it also forced me to reevaluate things. I really had to ask myself, who am I outside of trying to fit into this really controlling religion? And you know, it was scary, but it was really liberating all at the same time. Ironically, it was a elder, his words, that gave me the strength to leave the Kingdom Hall. So, as I mentioned, I was a full time minister for 2 years after high school as a Jehovah's Witness, which are called pioneers. I don't know if they still are, but you have to basically sign up for a certain amount of hours. And the first year I did it was 1,000, and the second year I remember it was 750, something like that. But I just wanted to show my receipts because I got my letters of from the Watchtower Society of when I got approved as a pioneer, and I also still have my service records that show my hours. I had to log them, just showing that like I did my time. And I will be burning these things after this video. But at the end of the first year, you go to Pioneer School, which is basically a Bible camp. And actually, this picture right here is a picture of me during that class. Um, I saved this picture because Pioneer School, I did have a benefit of going. And so one of the instructors, his name was Fred Lanier, um, I'll never forget something he said. So we were talking about Psalms 119 and these ideas of humility in relationship to being a servant of God. And he said, it's important that we remain humble because God won't consider you if you think too much of yourself. But you need to have some confidence about yourself because God can't consider you if you don't think enough of yourself. Woo, baby, changed my whole life. I was sitting there thinking to myself, if I really love myself, then that means that I need to be honest with myself, honest with God, and figure out what the hell I'm doing with my life. Because that wasn't it. Because pretending to be this good Jehovah's Witness while also being gay, while also being different when I was at work with my coworkers, being different when I was with my family, it wasn't it. And it wasn't certainly sustainable for my mental health. It was shortly after that, maybe about a year or so, that I went to the elders and explained to them that I'm gay and I don't think these feelings are going away. And what I distinctly remember is, they ask you to leave so they can like decide what's the best way forward for you. But I remember when I was waiting outside and I prayed to God just like I did before I got baptized, and I asked Him to help me with my steps. And what I remember is this feeling of peace that overtook me. And I knew that whatever decision was going to be handed to me was going to be what was best for me. And of course, I was disfellowshipped. And, I always like to joke that I prayed to God and God said, bitch, you better keep sucking some dick. But I was really fortunate because I had other social groups to transition to. So around that time, I had started going to community college. I was able to develop new friendships with some queer folks. I had just started going to gay bars, and actually, some people who I met at that time, I'm still friends with. And those relationships are really important because they helped me see that being my honest, authentic self is always the best way to go. They loved me unconditionally, and I fell in love with them, and it was a really great experience. I also had friends who were extrovert witnesses at the time, so I did have people to process that trauma with, and also a group of friends who we were here to just love each other unconditionally after being in a religion in which so many conditions are put on how you get and receive love and affection. It wasn't about following the rules or fitting into a mold. It's about loving people for where they are and who they are. Do you want to share that in addition to this, my relationship with my grandmother actually got better, I would say. It was a little rough when I first got disfellowshipped, but I think her seeing me be happy because I was honest and I didn't have all this weight on me made her happy. And we were able to continue our relationships as adults together. I always had her love and support. And, I do want to admit, I did want to always be respectful to her faith system. And sometimes she'd get weird. And, like, if she prayed over food, I would have to leave the room at family events, things like that. But overall, it was cool. But here's the thing, not everyone has that experience. Not everyone walks away from being a Jehovah's Witness in particular or organized religion in general and has the same story as I, where I'm able to navigate both the pros and the cons. A lot of ex Jehovah's Witnesses are still dealing with their hurt and their trauma. When you're raised in a religion that's so rigid, it's hard to accept love that doesn't come with conditions as you get older. And seeing and supporting my friends who are extrovert witnesses who I would say have had deeper connections to the religion than I did, it's really taught me one of two things. A, Jehovah's Witnesses are on the same bullshit that every other religion is on in regards to the trauma and the hurt that they cause, in regards to the systems of abuse and power that are in place. They may do a better job at hiding it versus other religions, but it's really all the same. And two, once again, going back to that importance of unconditional love, that love should leave people better. And seeing how that religion has left people worse, it's left people with a lot of hurt and trauma. I don't like to describe people as broken or damaged because that applies to goods. As human beings, we do have the ability to heal, but it's certainly a lot harder to heal from the wounds that I've seen that this religion can cause. So if you're watching this and you've been hurt by a system or persons or even yourself, I want you to know that love, real love, leaves people better than it found them. It doesn't shun, it doesn't judge, It doesn't make you conform and be something that you aren't. It doesn't demand you change to make you worthy of it. And that's a really important lesson that I learned and I know will always be with me as I go forward in life. So, thanks for listening, everybody. That's my story for today. Tea with Robert, your favorite Black gay uncle. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone that you think might benefit from it. Please rewatch. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment if you already haven't onto my channel. I'm looking forward to more chats with you all. And as always, your Black gay uncle loves you and he's rooting for you. I'll see you soon. Tell me what to feel right now. Tell me what to